when you talk about the definition of success, is there like a template or a blueprint that you would use when you are talking about what how somebody should think about success? Because there is a specific definition of success from the viewpoint of venture capital and what is expected of you to achieve within a certain time. Um, and then there is the other side of it is like you as a person, how you define success. So yeah, so I'd like to hear your thoughts on that and how you think these two things could align in some way.
Yeah, look, I mean, look, here's the thing about venture capital. I've been working in and around venture capital for the last 10 years, and it's obviously it's had a tough time over the last 2 or 3 years. Naturally, industries ebb and flow, but predicated at the heart of the venture capital model is failure, right? Because venture capital a model will for every 10 investments, for example, it's very well, and not for every VC, I take this on board, but for many that I work with, it's well understood internally that 10 investments, 8 will fail. And if you have 2 that succeed, then by those metrics, you're doing relatively well. And obviously the returns on the 2 that succeed will supersede the loss on the 8. So they're not going into this saying we're going to make 10 investments and we are going to succeed in every one of these investments. Yes, they did their due diligence. In the past, it was probably far too light. So now it's probably on the other end of the spectrum. But at the heart of their model is predicated on failure. They are not expecting everything to succeed, right? And we look at this idea of building unicorns or building these business. Unicorns are unicorns for a reason. They're very, very few and far between. But what I would ask people to do is any founder of a unicorn look behind the facade of the business and just look at what they have had to sacrifice to get there and say to yourself, okay, if I did build a unicorn, would I want to sacrifice what they have sacrificed to be able to get there? The answer for me in many instances, having read books for founders who've done this, is no. I wouldn't want to sacrifice. But for me, going back to your measure of success, family is super important, right? I have a young child, I have a wife at home, and I love and want to spend time investing into them. So that to me is part of my success. Again, I took a long time I come from a commercial background, right? So, glorified salesman, if you will. We were hit with kind of commercial targets, and our only way of kind of attributing our success or measuring our success was against commercial targets. And if you exceeded those, great. And if you didn't, then you weren't doing your job properly. But it's a very kind of harsh metric to be able to measure success by. So, for me, when I dug down and I took some time out in my career to really review this, actually, for me, what I get validation from personally is helping others to achieve their potential and succeed. And at the heart of our venture studio is exactly that. We provide a supportive network, a framework around founders, be it early stage or later stage, with the idea of sharing in their success and helping them succeed. And that's the bit I get validation from. Yes, of course, we're all interested in financial stability and success on a financial scale to some description. But, been in lots of positions where I've had that and I've not felt any better than I have. For example, moving the needle of a very small company from 0 to 100% has made me feel better than a 6 or 7 or 8 figure deal that we've done in some instances. So for me personally, it's that. And actually, when I meet with with the founders, and one of the things we go through is asking them what validates them and what makes them feel a measure of success. And when it comes to financial success, and again, I've got no aversion to it at all. One thing I advise to everybody that I speak to is, okay, if finance is a data point upon which you measure your success, that's absolutely fine. But please have a definition, have a number, have something to that. If you say to me something tomorrow, Ali, I want to earn £5 million because I want to go and buy this yacht and this Bentley, and it's going to cost me exactly this, I have no issue with that at all, because you know exactly what you want, and more importantly, you know why you want it. So once you hit that 5 million, you can check out, you can do what you want to do, and you can go and buy the 2 things that make you happy. But I also feel in life there's this cyclical nature of wanting to accumulate wealth or accumulate finance without understanding why you want to do it. And then you get to a point where you've done that, and then you realize, actually, was that the most important thing in my life? Was that the most important thing I should have focused on throughout the last 10, 15, 20 years of my career? For some, perhaps yes, and some perhaps not. So unpicking exactly what it is that validates people, and most importantly, unpicking their motivation, their why. I've got a saying in the company that I say to everybody, it frustrates them, but I say to them, look, if you don't know why you're doing a task, stop and find out first, because you will never be able to do that task to your full potential unless you know why you're doing it.